So a priest walks into a bar and says, ouch, because it was an iron bar. Let's start the show. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of FYC Film Review. I'm your host, Gagne. With me, as always, my partner in crime, Naldo, and a special guest today. We've got none other than G.G. from The Ridiculous World of G.G. Abrahams. How are you, gentlemen?
Good. Naldo?
Doing well. Yeah, doing well. I mean, what'd you think of that pun, Gigi? They're amazing, aren't they? They're so good.
Oh,
Yeah, welcome to my world.
Everyone loves a priest
half
joke.
half of me really enjoyed it, and half of me understands what people need to put up with me. So it was welcomed.
There it is. What do we got for
Our-
the folks today, Naldo?
Oh my goodness, moving back to 1987, John Carpenter, and we decided to go with Prince of Darkness. Now, I have never seen this movie. What about you, gentlemen?
Ditto. Never seen it. First watch.
As you know, I'm a huge John Carpenter fan, so I seen this movie probably slightly too young.
What's slightly too young? Are we talking
Yeah, like
grade
what
school?
age are we talking about?
No, I mean, not too young as in I was a child, but I think I was like 13, 14 the first time that I seen it. And I'm sure we'll get to it, but there's a particular sequence in this movie that it worked on me and I was scared, which is the point of a horror movie, right?
It is. It actually is. I mean, horror movies should scare the crap out of you. Unfortunately, this movie did not scare the crap out of me or anything. So let's get to the beginning. The opening credits of this movie took forever. Just when I thought the movie was going to start, you got names on the screen, and then you got to the movie, and it's like the same repetitive music over and over. It took like 10, 12 minutes for the credits to be done. I thought Speed with Keanu Reeves had the longest opening credits. I think this one takes the cake, man. This one was long.
Yeah, no, I definitely called that out, but I think that was pretty indicative of like older films. I mean, they used to solely run credits in the beginning of films. They do a very weird, juxtaposition of like you get a scene with someone for a couple minutes and then they cut back into more credits. So you don't really ever know what truly is starting the film because you are just kind of like leading in with a long period of time. So I'll give you that, but this is John freaking Carpenter. This is the master of horror, ? I don't know if we're going to have a debate on this over Wes Craven, but this is the man who created Halloween. His score is still eerie, maybe repetitive, but still eerie, just like Michael Myers' theme. I appreciate that John has that vision for his films where he wants to put his music into it. I like his vision. So I'm riding the line here, but I feel like you might be defending this, GG, and although you didn't like this, but I might be the deciding factor here.
I think, okay, so when you're John Carpenter, and as you know, he does his own soundtracks quite a lot of the time, his soundtracks are mostly great. So, best foot forward. I understand that the credits are, what's the word? Not segmented, but as you said, you get a scene, you see a little bit, and then it cuts to, written by or directed by. But I personally, and maybe it's nostalgia or just love, but I think the soundtrack deserves that time because it's building. And whenever I've read any sort of review for this movie, I always see the word feeling of dread.
Sure.
This movie gives you a feeling of, it might not scare you, it might not be scary to you, but there is dread, and the music, I think, 50% of that. So it deserves the slow opening, I think.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that. The music does give you a feeling of dread, but you gotta lay off of it a little bit. It's just like too much. It's like, okay, I get it. And listen, I'm not knocking John Carpenter. I think he's a master at his craft. I think he just failed with this one. I really did. I think he totally bombed with this one. This one was all over the place, very jumbled. Didn't make sense. I can appreciate the creativity, but good grief, man. Like, what is happening here? We got a bum Alice Cooper, and we got all these homeless people who are spawns of Satan, but why is it only happening to the homeless people? I just didn't understand this movie. I think it was trying to be a really smart horror movie, but I think it missed the mark.
All right, so let's get into some good stuff then before we get into the two negative things. I'm going to first shout out Victor Wong, who plays the professor in this movie. He's played in so many films from our youth.
Yeah.
I enjoyed seeing him and Donald Pleasence together. I enjoyed seeing Donald Pleasence not as the hero per se, but as this troubled, priest who doesn't really know what to do with all of this information that's coming in. I also really like that you get some science trying to explain religion and
Yep.
all this at the same time. And I like that blend of it. You're right. It's trying to be a smart horror film. Unfortunately, my issue was that it took too long to get to it. It took a long time to build to that, where I wanted, I think, just a little bit more like, let's get to what we know already is, which is Satan's coming.
When you say it goes maybe too long before the good stuff happens, that happened to me last night when I rewatched. I looked at the timeline because I know this movie quite well, so I actually looked at the timeline to see where exactly does this movie kick off.
Yeah.
And it's like an hour. It's a solid hour into the movie. So you get 45 minutes of, let's say, all hell breaks loose, pun intended. But I think once that 45 minutes starts, Naldo, I get it. It didn't scare you. I get that. But for people who haven't seen it, there's a sequence where it's like a videotape. A recording is being played back.
From the future,
the
right?
First time. Yeah, from 1999.
Is that what they called? That's what they said? Is that the year they called out? Oh.
Yeah.
We're contacting you from the year 1999.
Okay.
But yeah, it plays this videotape that's part of a dream sequence, and that I just found that scary because you get this sort of shadow. As the camera's moving along and you see the entrance to this, looks like a church, and it is the church that they're in, and it's like a shadow, and it's like a weird shaped shadow. It doesn't look human, but it is. It's strange, and that's the exact intention. It worked on me. I was like, what's happened to you? Is this still the same movie? The first time you see it? So that got me. But some of the acting is hokey. How's that?
How about we go with like 70% of the acting is hokey? I mean, good grief, we got this guy named
Walter.
Yeah, Was it Walter?
Dennis Dunn.
Yeah.
Dennis Dunn. Okay, listen, I didn't know what to make of this guy, but he kept dropping like homosexual jokes, racist jokes, and at one point I'm like, wait, is he gay or not? Is he intending it to be funny because he's gay? And then he's such an overactor. He would drop the lines and he would just get mad and walk off. And I'm like, what is this, Showgirls? Is this Elizabeth Berkley? I mean, what are we dealing with here? Yeah, it's disgusting.
Walter does get worse as the movie goes on. It's like it becomes comical to a point because everyone else is really trying and getting into what's going on. Walter is literally like throwing one-liners at possessed colleagues. I just don't understand. Like, what are you doing in there? Just keeping yourself entertained? Yeah, he was a struggle. He was a bit.
Yeah.
I think one thing that stood out for me about Walter Dennis Dunn, bad language. Because I've only ever seen this guy in Big Trouble in Little China, where he's pretty clean cut. To see him in this movie, and every second word out his mouth is it's potty. It's got a potty mouth. So that was a wee bit jarring for me. The mustache, gentlemen, the mustache.
Hey, preaching to the choir. I saw that mustache and I could not turn away every time he was on. The mustache was glorious.
It's distracting. They assembled the oldest college students ever to fight off. Like, I was confused if they were college students or grad students. Or
I think they were grad students.
Worked at the school, but man, it was like, how old are these people?
Yeah,
what is happening?
I think they were grad students. And oh my gosh, what I did. So Mullins was his name, the stash guy, right? Mullins was his name, I think.
I believe
Mullins, and then the girl that was like, his love interest, they had coffee and all of a sudden they're in bed and was like, okay, that's coffee. Okay, coffee leads to making love. All right, whatever.
It was the mustache. It was the mustache that led, right?
Yeah, I guess so. You're right. The stash. It's the stash and coffee.
Marsh was his name.
So can somebody explain to me the homeless people. What were they?
I think what the movie was trying to suggest was that, and this is going to sound terrible, and this is not the opinion of myself.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's the opinion of G.G.
It's as if they're trying to say that homeless people are easier to take over.
Okay.
If that makes sense, in a possession way, for whatever reason. No idea, but that's what's implied, because as you say, nobody else gets affected until there's literally green liquid, and we'll get to that, squirting all over the place. Yeah. But these other people, you know, these poor homeless people, they're easily possessed. We mentioned the green liquid, right? So there's this green liquid that's in this cylinder that's in the bottom of this church that we've been hiding and protecting, mankind from. But rather than just have the evil inside be Satan, they've got to confuse things slightly. And I love this movie, but why is it? So inside is Satan's son, who's then going to come out and possess someone. Some good special effects there on the makeup, when the face is. That was pretty good. But from there, that person who's now Satan is in our world, and they're going to try and bring their father Satan into our world.
Right.
And we get a good effect at that part.
Like you said, G, the last 30 minutes I'm in for. And I'm in for, the first setup of the first 15 or 20 minutes, when they're kind of explaining what's going to happen in this movie. The shot where the arm is reaching through, and the main character ends up in this water on the other side, with the lighting, I mean, gorgeous. Some stuff that you hadn't seen before that's now been absolutely used and repeated in multiple movies, but really cool effects for that time. I was fine with the ooze. I appreciated that at least there was some effort in not making it the same old possession story that we get when it comes to the devil and the church hiding these things. You got some science fiction, you threw in some computers. They tried to make it more modern. For an 87, we didn't have computers, we didn't have this stuff. So I appreciate a lot of this. I just wish it was 20 minutes shorter. Make this a solid 90 minutes, or just under, and man, it would fly, and it would make, I think, a little bit of the bad acting disappear. And then you've got a film from Carpenter that more people I think would talk about and wouldn't have been forgotten. And for me, loving John Carpenter so much, I'm surprised I'd never even heard of this until you mentioned it.
You want to make the film shorter? Get rid of the opening credits.
20 minutes.
Valid. Just start with everybody in the church, and we don't even need to worry about the whole dating aspect of the movie.
You start off the morning after, so the movie starts in bed, and you take it from there, because we need to appreciate that mustache. It's got to have some purpose, right?
Perfect.
Oh my gosh.
Can we get to the end?
Sure.
The hand. It's a big rubbery hand.
It's pretty bad for a close-up shot.
Naldo, do you like that? Don't tell me you like that.
I liked it because I knew we were getting towards the end. So I'm like, okay, Here we go. We got something going on. I could care less if it's a rubbery hand. We're getting to the end. This is kind of creepy. Let's go.
Okay. I love this movie. I always have. I recognize that it's not perfect. There are many faults. I get that. But the ending, although there's a rubbery hand, I still like the ending. I like most of the special effects. It's not John Carpenter's best. It's nowhere near his best. But if you're a John Carpenter fan, I would say, check this one out. Unless you're Naldo.
Thank you.
All right, that sounds pretty close to a rating. I think we're gonna have to hit this nice Prince of Darkness with our rating. What are we doing?
Let's do it. 1 to 5. GG, we'll let you pick. What do you want to rate it?
Well, I'm kind of hung up on these fingers, so let's go clearly fake fingers.
Clearly fake fingers. 1 to 5. 1 clearly fake finger being awful. 5 clearly fake fingers being this amazing movie that it's not. GG, you're a guest. Guest, go first. Go ahead, my friend.
No pressure, once again. I will give it 3 clearly fake fingers.
Okay. All right. 3.
I really thought he was going higher.
I did too.
I was waiting for
I was about to kick him off the show.
I was actually going to go down the way. I was thinking 2.5 because of the mustache. There's mullets as well. There's a couple of tremendous mullet haircuts.
Yes. Yeah. All right. I'm probably sitting at like 2.5 clearly fake fingers.
Okay.
The end brought it home for me, honestly. Like, this film, like you said, is stamped with John Carpenter. If you like John Carpenter, you'll enjoy this movie. It's not great by any means. There's a lot of bad acting, but what John does great is a score, a clever story, building tension, and that is all present in this movie if it's not just a little bit long. So 2.5.
2.5 clearly fake fingers. Okay. All right. I am nowhere near a 3.5 or whatever it is, or 2.5. I am going to give this 1.5 fingers. So a finger and a nub. Listen to me. I think I appreciate the creativity. I appreciate the story. I appreciate what John Carpenter was trying to do. It's just a jumbled mess. Great plot, bad execution, really bad actors in this. It doesn't diminish from what John Carpenter does. The guy's a genius at his craft. This movie just, for me, it just failed. It just didn't hit the mark. I would rather watch Halloween.
Well, we are a church divided. Solid scores from GG, middling scores from me, and Naldo did not like this film one bit at all, but that's okay. That's what makes art so great. This has been FYC Film Review, guys. Thank you again for joining us. GG, it's been a pleasure to have you. Where can everybody check you out?
As always, on YouTube only, and it's the Ridiculous World of G.G. Abrahams. Check it out if you're looking for something ridiculous.
Excellent movie reviews and so much more. Please give some love to our buddy GG. I've been your host, Gagne. My partner Naldo with me as always. We are FYC Film Review, and we'll see you next time.
Have a good one, everybody.
Take care, guys.